Local superintendents gathered to have an open discussion about education. Superintendents from Hastings Public Schools, Hastings Catholic Schools, and Adams Central answered questions from a small crowd today. The Hastings Chamber of Commerce organized the event, and there were many topics discussed, with childcare and how each school system coexists being two of the main points. One superintendent feels working together works best for all of Hastings.
I think it's very important to our community that we do work together, that we're helpful and supportive of each other. You know, we all have different school systems and in some ways different goals, but ultimately education is the goal for all of our schools.
Father Bruyette says he really appreciates the relationship he has with the other superintendents in town, adding they often eat lunch together and know they can rely on each other.